everyone. Welcome to episode 6, season 1 of Belizean Workers' Rights. It's a space where we meet as often as we can every Thursday night from 7 to 8. I'm Sister Yaya Maureen Coleman. This is an independent initiative, and the co host is Brother Dean Flowers, the current president of the Public Service Union. Good night, Brother Dean.
Good night. Good night, Sister Yaya. Blessed evening to everybody. June 24th, Yaya. Thanks for reminding me that, or pointing out that today a full moon. I look forward to taking a look outside and enjoy the beauty of what I understand from my reading is the strawberry moon. So I encourage those who have logged on to peek outside and enjoy super moon.
I have to offer apologies. It was an unusually busy week for me this week, and it's very unlike me, but I'm human, and I forgot to confirm with our guest, but he knows that he agreed to be on at this time, and I've been unable to reach him. So I'm hoping that he would still join us, and I can only apologize sincerely because I know people joined tonight. I see our sister Musila Cynthia Pitts. We have Abla. We have Philip Tate. Thank you for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. And I was not expecting to have a conversation because I thought we'll have a guest. But, Brother Dean, is there anything happening right now as it relates to Belizean workers' rights you would think is important for us to have a conversation about in this first half hour? I have a reading that I can share if there is no such thing, and I could tell you the reading is from the Belizean Studies, Volume 8, Number 2, March 1980. And it's actually about the laborers' right of 1894. So, but I'm sure there must be something we can talk about, Brother Dean, that's happening right now as it relates to Belizean workers. Do you have anything that you think would be relevant at this time? Your mic is not on.
Well, for me, the budding issue right now, it is a budding issue that will no doubt come to the forefront of conversations in perhaps the coming week or coming months, will be the issue of mental health, yeah, where labor is concerned. I think that this has always been a serious issue. However, I think little or no attention has been placed on mental health and how does that factor into the protection of labor and laborers. And I am pleased to also inform that I noticed or we received a correspondence from the Ministry of Labor pointing this out and pointing out the need for an entity to take the lead on this. And so, in essence, what the Labor Commissioner has proposed is for there to be a mental health symposium on how we address the impact of the pandemic on laborers, as well as, I guess, just in general, the financial constraints that laborers are currently experiencing as a result of this pandemic, unemployment, and how that is affecting them mentally. And so the proposal is for this to commence or for this to happen sometime in August or September. There is no proposed date as yet. That is the timeline that she's looking at. But I think it's very important, and I definitely would want to encourage laborers across this country and organizations across this country to stay tuned, to keep their eyes open, their ears on the ground, because this could be very, very helpful and important to laborers and workers in general. So that is, I think, the biggest issue for me coming out of this week thus far, where labor and labor issues is concerned.
Indeed, this has always been a priority. What, why now though? I'm interested in why is it that, I mean, funding the boat, that what? This kind of convention would I never adhere to and then they get pressure? I mean, I just want to know because if they're not serious about the investment and the commitment, is these kinds of, something just, for me, I get wary of. It's a month, it's a week, it's a theme, and then we have a meeting and that's it. And people get wary of that. So and then when these decisions are made without meaningful participation from the people who will most be impacted, then people oftentimes don't really have one buying because let's say I'm just mentally exhausted because all of us are on the mental health spectrum and it varies. So we're all on the mental health spectrum. You could have very what they call, I guess, well health, and then mental health that's not well. And it varies for different people. Some people may stay at a certain spectrum for a long period of time, and for people, it's a way of life. It's manageable maybe by medication or by natural remedies. So I'm asking, like, what would be the union? Has the union talked about this? Has the union consulted with their members to find out what would the members want that they think will be useful for them long term?
We haven't. I hope my mic is on 1 second. Yeah, we haven't touched on this topic in depth. We have, in fact, touched on the topic and the need for professional services to be made available. And we made this clear to the Ministry of Public Service that there will be a need of this for this. I can also say that where the government is concerned, I believe it in my conversations, my preliminary conversations with the CEO in the Ministry of Public Service, he stated that where the employee assistance program is concerned, the director there has become busy. They have seen an increase in activity within that unit, and sad to say, that unit is I believe there is only one employee, one or two persons in that unit. So a lot of the services will have to be contracted out, especially where expertise in dealing with mental health is concerned. There is the issue, of course, of financial budgeting that the government has proposed that they want to assist members of the unions with. But again, all of this has simply been a lot of talking, but we haven't seen anything concrete. From a PSU standpoint, we have recognized that there will be a need perhaps for us to do more in providing these services for our members once things does not improve and people lives gets a little bit worse as a result of this 10% cut.
What's your gut vibes about this, brother?
My honest gut vibes about this. Yeah, I have shared this. I think I did share this with my membership, and I think I did share this as well with the government consultation team. I am foreseeing the liquidation of public officers' assets going. I am seeing the liquidation, the cheap liquidation of assets, such as, and these are disposables, primarily vehicles, home equipment. I am also seeing an increase in depression. And I'm also seeing an increase in domestic violence. Those are some of the social impact that I am foreseeing will hit hard between now and the month of September. and beyond that. But it will be, I believe it will hit hardest because people simply will not know how to cope. They will simply not know how to cope. And there is absolutely, the assistance is not there. At this moment, we should have been uh, providing or making available these type of assistance openly so that people know that, by well, here they go on. I come down with some stress here. I'll try figure this thing out. Let me visit here, let me visit there. But like I said, unfortunately, neither the unions have tried to uh, allocate the necessary resources to put in place the mechanism, and the experts to be able to make available to our members and to public officers these services.
And this impacts not only the government employees, it impacts the entire family, children, elders, family members who may have been diagnosed with mental illness. And because Belize, the infrastructure has not been there for short term or long term support for families. I mean, when you think of what the day to day may have been for people, even before people went on half a salary or lost their jobs, people living with illness, what will it do to the public health system? Because it's not, I mean, it's mental health is one thing, but then your overall health will be impacted. Has any of the public service employees shared with you, Bernadine, what their day to day has been like?
Yes, yes. What I can say, and you are right when you make mention that families will now be impacted, because I can tell you that from an education standpoint, not only public officers are now having to sacrifice putting their further education on pause, but sadly, children who were enrolled in tertiary level education or institutions primarily are now being asked or being told that their parents simply cannot afford to send them back to school as a result of the current economic crisis that we're in, both not only as a country but as individuals. I think the impact on education is one of the greatest, or one of the biggest one that has been commented to be, both from a public servant standpoint as well as from their children's standpoint. Whilst we were speaking primarily of mental health, you are right when you say that their overall health will be impacted, because again, based on confessions from public officers, there are days within the month when public officers will say to you, I simply
Yes,
stay.
Brother Nelson Logging. Yes.
Oh, he's here. Yeah. So to quickly wrap up that thought, where they say they simply stay at their desk during 12 and 1, yeah, because there's normally a couple of days of the month whereby they simply can't buy food for those who are unable to cook in the morning, who commute. So the overall health, yes, will be impacted. And like I said, I foresee the impact revealing itself seriously between July and September.
This is just, it's going to be a lot on our community. Good night, Brother Nelson.
Nelson isn't there, but just to add to what Brother Dean mentioned
One
education.
second, 1 second, 1 second, brother. 1 second. In the first half hour, Brother Philip, we usually have the conversation with Brother Dean and myself and the guests, and then at 7:30 we'll have the open mic. But I saw Brother Nelson log in, and he's the guest for tonight. Brother Nelson, are you hearing me? I see him log on, but I don't see his image. So we'll keep talking until Brother Nelson.
Hi,
There.
good night. Sorry about
Yes,
that.
brother. Good
Yep.
night. Good night.
difficulties.
No problem, Brother Nelson. Well, our featured guest tonight is Eunice Nelson Young. And your camera not at work, brother?
What's that?
Camera.
The camera?
Yes, you're not a guest.
I try for that. Hold on, I get you in a few.
All right. While we wait for Brother Nelson to turn on his camera, Brother Dean, where you know Brother Nelson from?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Brother Nelson, I think
Okay.
I first met Brother Nelson at the NTUCB. I may have had a run-in with him prior to that, but because when I met him at the NTUCB, I was like, but I know this guy, man. I mean, but to be honest, I still cannot wrap my head around where my very first encounter with him might have been, but he may be able to refresh my memory. But my interactions has always been primarily around the NTUCB table, because he's one of those unionists, of course, who has a lot of experience and knowledge
FFB.
and oh, it's at the FFB. All right, all right.
I'm gonna try get him. I'm gonna try get Danny Ferrona as president.
Wait.
Pablo. Daniel Pablo.
Okay, okay. You're involved in that campaign?
Yeah, I mean, we start that actually.
The guy that really was at the forefront of that was Glenn Tillett.
Ah, yes. But the starting story, I mean, I try push the man to do it. Think you can do better there.
Okay.
So, Brother Nelson, Firebrand Unionist, how is it that you became involved in the union movement in Belize?
Well, I first become involved in a union in a Belize when at BTL actually, and we realized that we had a couple of guys, women negotiate on our behalf from outside of BTL. You know, like you find union leaders from outside, and when we realized that some of the things where they really they pushed on our behalf, the staff. So what we did, we decided we don't want to represent Ononomo, and people like me, Christine, Paul, Period, and fear we get together, we decide, you know what, make we start our own for our own union for ourselves. And that how we got started. Then in 2005, we realized that what the then government was doing wasn't proper, and most of its salaries used to go into taxes. At the time, the government when they sell all the assets of the country, and we still ask the country, if you sell the assets of the country, how the country will make money? The only thing you could do that tax the people more. That's the only way the country can make money after you sell all the assets. When you sell all the houses where the dignitaries used to come and Belize and stay in, then you have to try find places to rent for the state dignitaries that had places to stay in. That was government property. So we decided that, you know what, make we do a leap plan of action, and we decided we went against the government. We did that the night. We invited BL and Wassa the next day to join us. They did. Russell Young, the then president of Wassa, said, make we invite them Trade Union Congress. So we did. And I saw that 2005 full protest action they start. You know.
How did you gain or sacrifice from your experience during that period?
How did I?
Gain or sacrifice of yourself during that period, and it was drawn out. So, for those who may be listening for the first time, if you can just briefly say what the meat of the issue was and what you gained or sacrificed from that experience.
The meat of the IC was good governance. That was our thing, good governance. And we also at the time in the fight to control detail, which was also privatized illegally, right? So we may try control the we may try get control of detail. We don't have a loan approved Scotiabank. All the government at the time had to do was put the signature, you know, stating that if anything may happen, they may take over the loan. That was all they had to do. But it may rough, it may hard because at the time you had policemen we call you, policemen we follow you. You got some of your family members when I'm in the then government way. They actually try like, man, you know, you have to stop this thing. And we try to tell them, we try to tell everybody, this is the betterment, this is the betterment all of it, right? When Michael Ashcroft actually gets back in at the company, the first thing he did was target all the union heads, especially liaison officers. So in a fall in 2007, I lost my job. You know, I'm supposed to go to arbitration, was supposed to take 6 months by law, but my one drag off over 11, 13, 14 years. And about administration, you know. So it me kind of hard all during that time, you know, got one job, you have to try struggle and make ends meet. There was sacrifice, but when you look on it, your kids feel good more you do. It's because the sacrifice about they, not us anymore, about the country, about the kids where they come up and their kids. And now the sacrifice where we have to start and make. Yes, at some point I try to tell some of my union members, brothers, I say, man, forget the salary, for you know. Let's go call together, put a proper plan of action in place. When we unleash Fande, we were got this conquered. But we have to do it. So the sacrifice hard because you got people we think them your friend when you realize they're not your friend. So it's really hard. But me personally, I got a strong shoulder, a good head, and I got good people behind me. My family and friends really supporting me. I had I could call two good doctors, Dr. Tegan and Dr. Reno. Whenever I was sick, the guys tell me, say, Mr. Tiseneli, you call to me anytime. He say, all you just don't do is give up your fight. You do not give up your fight. He say, you're right, and you must fight for your right. And so I had good people behind me. I never had no stress for that. I'm good. I'm still good.
Respect, Brother Dean. You have any questions you want to ask Brother Nelson?
Yeah, I think that what Brother Nelson went through, we see that starting to manifest itself or continues to manifest itself, against the laborers of this country. Clearly, there is something dysfunctional about the Ministry of Labor. And I want to take this opportunity to really say that there needs, I know that there is a revision of some of the laws there, and I think that part of that revision should include penalties for the Commissioner of Labor, where these kind of injustices is perpetuated against poor people. Because I mean, the mere fact that you're the worker and poor man, you have to work. But Brother Nelson, my question in relation to your case is, what prohibited you from going to the Supreme Court for redress?
As I said, okay, good question. The thing was, we planned, right? And when I got fired, it was during a time when we made do things against the management of the company, right? So we decided, and then Christine got fired. So our plan was two-pronged. We were dealing with the arbitration, right? My other two brothers, when they get fired with me, they decide they give it up. The other one, who I'm the most senior, he decided, well, steady hall here and the ring under his wing, and say I'm gonna work under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I'm left practically just standing on my own. But we may say I going to arbitration, we bolster the labor force. And Christine, we going to Supreme Court, which did happen, right? And both of us won. So that was the plan. I mean, a plan we follow through. So we want to show the people that I believe that arbitration can work if you stay upon it. The length of time was so out of it. You realize when you look at people like Godwin Holson and so, we used to talk that they have a lone mouth. They may all for themselves. They never make a good labor minister. They never make a good minister because they never had no good intentions. They never had no good heart. They never had conscience. You know? And that's the way a lot of Williams lacking conscience, heart. You know? You need to stand and try to do good for each other. And that's the way Belize lacking in a whole. Laws with discipline, laws self-control. And some of the laws that they push for away, that will help you get with it. And some of the laws, like, I'm afraid to tell why I tell a lot of young guys to say, you got big countries when you sign on to the to human rights check, but they themselves not sign on to human rights. So why we got to force we to sign on to things where they never want to sign on to? They could make all the changes in and labor laws where they want, bro. But if they not insert the proper C158 of the ILO, which states simply, you cannot fire nobody without just cause. And nobody no want it. The Chamber of Commerce no want it. The Business Bureau no want it. The government no want it. So then the big entities where they kept this law for get passed, just like when they stopped the OSH bill. Understand me? The only way we could get it passed is if we call together as one unit, not scattered, not as BCW, not as just one unit. Trade Union Congress, I believe. The people, I believe. The working force. And we could accomplish anything we want. When I look at my brothers like Nelson Mandela, so they used to meet every day. The Trade Union Congress can flower there, you meet once a month. If we try to get something accomplished, we have to meet. And we have to meet daily. If all we can meet, then someone we should meet. But the plan continues. You know, and I think that I feel like, we're right now. In 2005, we used to meet every day, even if only for an hour. But the plan continues. We had women behind the scenes. We actually do planning. Check. Then only we at the front. That the woman can me stay behind all the time. I don't know why even though because it's not my thing. It's not my thing. But at some point you must get it out. And we had a woman behind the plan. And that's the way we need to go. Plan and organize.
Respect.
People in a Belize are on board.
Respect, brother. We're the next to whenever they're behind, it's 7:28. So let me ask you, because you have the next half an hour to talk with the participants. What is one thing that you learned from this experience that you would say stayed with you, that wasn't a part of you before this experience?
I can't look. The one experience I think stayed with me is that if you set your mind to do something, you could accomplish it. You just have to stay the course. You just have to seek strength from the people who are willing to figure that strength and that support. And that's not the one thing we really stayed in me, that I realized people that I may have been taken for granted was always there for me. And some of them that I thought that would have been always there for me weren't there. And that's the one thing we stayed in me. So I just tell people, man, you know what? We live life and we deal with the people we want wrong, we deal with them. So
Respect.
give love to God. Give love to God.
Respect. We're at 7:29, Brother Dean. We're going in the next half hour and I'll make you run things for the next half hour. You do a good job of it anyway. So, mic over to Brother Dean so that the conversation could continue with the participants. You might not hear, Brother Dean.
Yeah, tonight we have some usual guests. I will refer, well, not guests, sorry, participants. Yeah, and we don't have anybody any strangers with us. So as Sister Yaya has mentioned, the last half an hour of the show, it's open mic. I know Brother Philip wanted to make a contribution on our discussion earlier. If you wish, Brother Tate, this is the opportunity, as well as to the other participants. If you would like to hear a little bit more from Brother Young in regards to his case and what he has endured as a result of the injustices that exist, or the broken system that exists where the labor department is concerned, and how perhaps we can fix that, suggestions, I think that the environment is ripe at this point in time for the labor movement to organize themselves and start demanding better for workers of this country. So the mic is yours, Brother Tate. I see your camera is on.
Thanks very much, Brother Dean. Sorry about the motorcycle, but I think that Brother Young is part of the pillar in this movement, one, and two, given the fact that he also has a case that should be studied by all of us. And what we might have to do is that for the new members around the table, both at NTUCB and at PSU, we might have to share that document with them again, given the fact that it is documented. But part of the conversation I wanted to add in on when Brother Dean mentioned the issue of the education system was the education system in this country has to be adjusted because of the fact that it's not only the education system in terms of paying the fees to go to school. The problem is the digital divide is creating a significant amount of disparity for the last year. And I think those two things are critical, extremely important if we want to provide access to education to our majority of our population, given the distribution of our people. Majority of our people are in school anyway. The median age is 21, so that means that majority of our population is in school. Brother Young, thanks very much for the sacrifice that you have made in the past so that the future could be well informed in terms of how best we could address some of these concerns given where we are in 2021. And if you think the situation was bad because of the pandemic, we haven't seen nothing yet. We still have climate change to deal with as well. So I'll leave it there for now. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Brother Tate.
Okay. Thanks,
Yes.
Brother Tate.
I'm the one who gone, Brother Dean.
The right there, yeah. I don't got no way to go. Brother Young, I am always I'm always kind of baffled when you always clamor for us to push for C-158 of the ILO, the C-158 convention of the ILO. And I am baffled by it because it should be one of those things that we should not relent on, and it should be one of those things that the NTUCB should be able to carefully and properly educate all unions as to why it is that we must push for it to be enforced. I'm looking at it and I'm reflecting on what has occurred to public officers since November, whereby people are being served with a letter that says, after 13 years, your services
are no longer needed.
And you're dismissed. That's it. No reason, no, absolutely nothing other than, and C-158 is saying
ludicrous
that the employment of a worker shall not be terminated unless there is a valid reason for such termination connected with the capacity or conduct of the worker or based on the operational requirements of the undertaking, establishment, or service. And it's like, this thing will protect people from these unfair and unjust, if not illegal termination, and like the USH, organizing yourself, that just something difficult, bro. I don't know. I mean, you say what we need to do, but it's just difficult to organize yourself. I don't know why.
For the life of me, I can't figure why. Then there should be things which should be they hate anything what we dey fight for, any good governance issue, then it should be the first thing, right? I mean, you say you go to the any Belizean program, you say, man, this is what we are stand up for. This simple one thing that no government has ever tried to put in place. If you notice, they skip all over the place and they go to the ILO. But that C158, they will not put. They go close to it, they jump over it, they go back to our next one, but not that. The Belizean people must realize that the big people don't want this thing passing. The big people want to continue to be as slaves. Because what we have as labor laws as slavery law. Because we not got no rights. And when you charge the big man, even when they have been found guilty of breach, they find a pittance. So then okay. So many things have to include jail times for employer when they have been shown to do wrong. You know, and we as our people, we must get we act together, man. We have two major political parties. We refuse to get registered for whatever reason, but they want everybody registered. After me, that one, I think with the trade union congress, I tell them, here we go on. If you don't care register, don't force me to register. I give you what I need to show that I don't want union, but not to force me to register. And make no get up together. You understand me? We got different things that we need to do, brother. I remember during 2005, we started a call for boycott of certain businesses, right? When we really work. We tell my boy, if you can't spend the money properly, put all the income tax, everything in a escrow account till we get everything together, and the social security funds. You know, we need to go back to the power we fall from. I mean to say in 2005, between a year 2005 2007, government may really fear the unions, but since the previous administration, they have been beating down on us in every which way possible. And a boy called to me once, I said, man, how you feel like the government where you support at the time just beat down for you and just ignore you? I don't know part of the problem, check, because that's the part that we'll step into when you try to do good, that's the part of the problem we have face. So unionists must understand that's the way it takes. We need to push for we differences aside and go to the table. We need to acknowledge that the trade union congress that is need to acknowledge that we cannot want to hold government responsible if we ourselves as individual unions does not want to be held accountable. Because that's how union leaders will act as if the unions are for them and not for the members. So we got a lot of soul searching to do, Brother Dean. And other union members, brother, we got a lot of soul searching to do. We have to sit down and get a conversation. We can't do it over the phone. We need to sit down face to face and trash this thing out and move on from there.
So the struggle is twofold. Our inability to come together as mature laborers, workers, adults, and of course the structural weaknesses in our laws, in our system, that
which constitution,
which only causes us to be exploited. And so, you know, that like if me and you to get chance, you would think me and you are hold hands to fight the oppressor.
Yeah.
But the divide and conquer is real, my brother.
It's for real.
The divide and conquer is real.
It's for real.
I want to invite our other participants. I see a chat message here. ILO Convention 158. What is the name of the convention? Has it been ratified by the government? That's a question from Brother Hubert. You care to comment on that, Brother Nelson? The ILO Convention 158. What is the name? convention, and has it not been ratified by the government?
As far as I know, no.
Yeah.
If that was ratified, nobody may again no letter where they say your services are no longer needed. They would have to provide a reason as to why I'm being fired. So that has not been. They might pick things from out of it and put it in a label as, but in that just say in its totality needed. It's needed in totality. And now one clause where they tell you that you cannot fire somebody without due cause. They that won't go in. So we just have to fight for it to go in its totality. We need it.
The name
The
of
country need it.
the name of the convention, Brother Hubert, is a Termination of Employment Convention 1982.
I have a question. What is stopping us, for example, the people on this Zoom right now, from becoming knowledgeable, informed, to do what needs to be done? For me, it's because of our mental state that those in power don't give we power. When the people are really the power. So if we become knowledgeable and organized from the base, we could do it. We could do it. I'd ask, when I stop, we write yourself and say, listen, we have start to study together, however we have study. And if that means that we have to master the knowledge and then start to share with other people, whatever it is, but what we need for the Nelson?
What's that?
What we need for do? What we could do right now? Be ready for the long haul, but what we could do?
We just need to start a lobby. We need to start a lobby. We need to start a push. What I need right now from the unions is we call together and decide where we want to go. What is our end goal? Because we talk about end goal, we are get out there, we are dolly things, then we are going quiet, then we're going out there again for a couple of years, then we're going quiet. But if we have our end goal, we will push every day for that end goal. So we have to get together and put our end goal inside. And without that, we are waste of time every time, man. We are tired of ourselves. And then even the junkie public will get tired away. But if because we have to start educate them also. We have to start with the politicians though. We need to put our plan actions in place and we hit the streets. You go talk to the people. You know. We should, as far as I figure, we should have there a stage where we tell the Belizean public, you know what? We want help with our Labour Party. So that we could go a difference. But persons, people like ourselves that will be thinking about us, not about the big companies. You know. Sometimes it hurt my heart when I think about the Mayan rights, right? Everybody call it the balkanization and the balkanization. And I say, no man, those people are doing what they don't want us to see. When we call together, when we community driven, how strong we are, that what togetherness thing, as long as they could separate that togetherness thing, in our kitchen. Another example that the guys did mile 41, brother Pitio.
41.
Whenever you have any things where you call together, show that togetherness we could get things accomplished. They believe both government try to block that up any way how they could. You understand me? Because look, let's look at this scenario. Communal land rights. You can't go in and go do nothing without everybody know. If I want to go in right now, go live. All I have to do, now apply to the alcalde, wait for my response. They will show me if you build my house, if I have a plan. Simple as that. There are no division. But when I start, I think about the minerals where they don't side. I use the minerals where they don't side, right? And now the big people want to go down there. What are the best way if you do it? Divide or conquer. They broke up that communal land rights. They start to separate up the land. The big money people going go start to buy it up from there. it's hard for someone to resist with the amount of money they push on. Then they want the whole down there, we not got no rights. So I just try to think out of the box what could happen. But the idea of we come together, yeah. And we start to educate the people for the different things. What once we make a plan, we start to educate the Belizean populace about the plan and what we could do for them and for us. And I think people are buying things. That's why educational process we have to go through, man. Planning and execution. And that the part we need everybody to come on board because the strength lies in all of us. And that's how I try to tell some of my union brothers. Not everything we know around the table. So we have to bring people from outside to hold certain position. And I always strongly believe in that, you know. And we are give you all the leeway for got the time to do the things that we need to do, you know. So I say, you got a good woman punish that way, the convenient man.
With Sister Pitts, she's here now.
Yes.
Yes. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Nelson, I want you to speak some more on the arbitration, because I have never heard from you or really understand what happened at the arbitration. You said that it was a success, but starting off with your firing, how did that happen? What did they tell you? What did they write and say was the reason for you to be laid off or fired? And then after all the years of waiting, when the arbitration did take place, what did they say?
All right. When I first got my letter, it was for the obvious reason. Your services are no longer needed. Right?
Just that.
Just that.
Nothing
yes.
more.
Nothing more.
And was it that you all were more vigorous in the organizing of the union at that point?
Yes, we were.
And so you all thought that it was that was the reason. You all felt that it.
Yes, okay. Yes. At the time, I'll try to find the correct word. At the time, we make a grievance against the managers of the company when we got fired. So, you know, we had a grievance issue with the manager. We filed a grievance, and then that during that time we got fired. Then, as the start, I got to know when we went to the actual arbitration, because the first arbitration was to be started on the Mr. Ashcroft challenged it at the Supreme Court, and I'm saying that all right, the panel may a bit illegal, so we went again. And we may help, and with the help of you also, when we get the proper impaneling of the of a panel. Then I don't remember the exact date, but I remember the date when it first was to start. We were on our way to Belmopan when those 5 guys may get killed at George Street. So while we were in Belmopan, they said things again at Belizean, we are postponing it. But it did continue, and during that time we find out that the minister that detail me last $500,000 worth of phone. You know, that the way I'm saying that we were negligent in our duties. But we may know that.
Is it that after the letter was written? Is it after the letter was written, then they came up with reasons saying that you all were negligent after getting your formal letter to say that your services are no longer required? During the arbitration now, then come up with something.
Then they used that. Then they started saying that. But previously, previously we those we don't start taking often. Internal auditors used to always audit the storeroom, and we have never had any problems until the last 6 months when they handed us 2 new managers. We started got problems with shortages. And when we try to tell you, well, we catch bus from Ladyville and to Ladyville, from and to work, we catch bus. So we can't back on our phones. The only somebody could go up on the compound after hours if any phone is due missing on the managers. And we had asked them to call in the police to do an investigation, which they refused. You know, and I look on people who human resources manager, and I think they really know their job when they get a position. That to the staff, you know. So we never had no help that side, but no phones never got as no phones never really get stolen from BTL as far as I'm concerned. So they may try use that, but it may show that managers may negligent in the arbitration.
So in the end, when it ended, I mean, what did they say? You know, the arbitrators say that you had a case, and they found that it was wrong, that you were terminated. On what grounds did they find that the termination was a wrongful one?
And I have the file directly in front of me, but basically everything that BTL had pushed on the arbitration, they rejected. You know.
Why I'm asking is because, sorry. Why I'm asking is because we know that there was the case down south that Justice Moore did, you know, when she was an attorney, you know, acting out here and not a judge yet, where they had fired some of the workers because they were organizing a union, and it was clearly stated in the court that it was wrong, you know, and so I was wondering if the thinking was along those lines, because I think it is important that unions get that case and read it.
The argument was
the reasoning.
The reasoning was along those lines. Remember that Antoinette Moore was also my attorney at the time when I won that arbitration.
Oh, yeah, and so I guess that she used the same. It is important because I think that employers will never come out and say that we are firing you or we're terminating you because you're organizing a union. They will always come up with something else, you know, and so it is important to hear how the court thinks and the arbitrators think in order to get around what the employers are saying. Because
to be fair, I had tried to get the unions, the Trade Union Congress, to share the ruling with the public. I didn't want to do it. I thought it was a union thing to do. But up to now, they have not done so. I tried to lobby the union, the Trade Union Congress to share the arbitration with the public. That was very unsuccessful. I have reasons why I don't want to do it personally, you know. But deep down, I thought it was a win for the unions, and they should have been the one to take that mantle and run with it. You know. I'm hoping now with this discussion and with Brother Tate and Brother Dean being one of the real true leaders, a new leader, I should say, maybe we could get something accomplished.
I believe that the weakness of the unions, that is caused by things like that, you know, that people don't know that you can win and how one wins. And you have to know what the courts say, what the courts are using, the principles that they use. You know, it is when you are armed with knowledge that you have the confidence, you know. But if you feel like you will always be beaten and, you know, make no point for you try fight, then people will have that low interest. So it is
And
when a case like that is taken out and studied. You know, you pull a case and you go through it. You know, you have a meeting, a discussion, a dialogue, a training, or whatever, where the one aim is to understand this case. Everybody here want to understand this case thoroughly.
And although my win was through the arbitration tribunal, it was also challenged. I got to learn later on that it was challenged at the court. But it had also failed at that level.
So you are saying that the government appealed and they took it to court. It went a step further.
BTL.
Oh,
I'm being cute, but BTL I'm in the government, right? But BTL.
Yeah. Sorry, so they actually had a case, or they just it was a rumor or a wish that
no,
they
did put in a challenge to the court.
Now, after the arbitration had ended,
and made its ruling, yes. Because they also.
And what happened? Did you?
I believe they may first do it. They may first make one appeal to the arbitration to consider some rulings. Ask they how they come up with their findings, you know. And barring that, I think they did make a submission to the Supreme Court.
You see, it is important to know all of that, you know, to know the reasons that they put forth, because you might have other employers who want to follow that. You know, I think that the strengthening of the unions come in the knowledge that you have in the, you know, these kind of cases, the training, the knowing the law, what the law says, what the employer will say, or people who will fight against it, and so on. And then, can I ask, I mean, you say you won. What was the redress? You don't have to tell us if you get one lot of money, but you could just tell us how, you know, how the redress went. I mean, if it was a financial thing, a compensation thing,
it was.
You got your job
it was financial.
Walk away with the bag of money.
It was financial. It was long and drawn out. I had to actually involve a lawyer
in order to collect what they said you should get.
Right, yes, okay. And it hurted me because I had to pay a lump sum to a lawyer, which I should not have done. So
yeah,
I believe I am still seeking someone. Look like the lawyer I'm used first. Like I don't know what I'm thinking, but I think I still need to do a pain or suffering and try to recover what I paid to a lawyer. Because when the ruling came out, the labor minister, because I know I said the labor commissioner at the time, which was Ivan Williams, I think he was quite professional in his undertaking, very much so. But the labor ministers, both of them, that would be Gavin Holtz and Pat, they got this thing dragged out. Instead of just ordering detail to pay what was ruled. So for me to get paid, I had to hire an attorney to go forward.
And you said a minister, and I know that, or my thinking is that the governments usually try to lessen the power of ministers. I mean, it is a straightforward thing. You have the arbitration, it came out in your favor. So I am having a difficulty in wondering how the minister will play any role now. The arbitration is finished, and the order was that you should be compensated. So how the minister will have any say to it is the finance now, you know, the Ministry of Finance, I would think. if they don't have the money, you know, I can see them writing you and telling you, well, we can pay you in installments. How the minister have any say in that?
Remember, this stuff from BTL itself. My simple understanding and knowledge. This is from BTL itself.
It is them who, sorry.
And
Again,
they are the one that once,
yeah.
as far as I can see, once it goes to the tribunal, the government is in control of that. So whatever is decided there, the government was the one to ensure that they do what they must do to settle the matter.
Yeah.
I know with speaking to you, I recall that I had approached your office, the ombudsman office, because you were the ombudsman at the time, to try and light some fire behind the minister at the time.
Yeah, yes, I remember.
Yes, I did share at your office what was taking place.
That was to get the arbitration going.
Yes.
When you approached me, it was because like nothing was happening.
No.
Nothing was happening.
And Brother Hubert just asked a question. It's a good question. He said, is it not the case that the new Labor Complaints Tribunal will deal with such matters?
Well, that wasn't there during my time. That just came into effect, if not late last year, early this year.
Yeah.
But it's something that the unions were pushing for all the while.
Yeah. And so does it mean that one has a choice now? I haven't read the law to really see what it says, but does it mean that you can go to either one, either arbitration or the tribunal or the courts? I haven't read it, you know, and so I really don't know how it plays out.
There, you see, you could put those bodies in place, but if they're not got the money, if they're not getting any money to fund it, or the bodies to deal with it, then you know, and that's the way how they deal with you. So as we can say, the Supreme Court was the quickest choice during two pristine period. You notice that the Supreme Court, which should have been longer than the arbitration, was the shortest course of action. Because I think by law or arbitration, the most it should take is 3 to 6 months.
And the thing too, having arbitration reduces the cost. It shouldn't be that a worker has to go to the Supreme Court. And that is the whole intention, you know, that is the intention. If you have governance that is taking care of its people and want to promote the best interests of the people of the country, then you set up these things so that you don't need to go to court, that you don't have to hire an attorney.
That was one of the reasons.
But then all of this comes through the talking, the discussion, and the education, and your members and your workers understanding how the system works. Why they set up these things. You know, because if they set it up and you only hear it over the radio and you don't understand anything and you not care, you not pay no mind, then it means nothing to you.
We waste the time. Yeah.
And so every time we go right back to awareness, education, raising one's consciousness about things, how the system works, every time. And so the strengthening of the unions, you know, have to be through that means.
And I think it can hurt your heart to say upon unionism gone, because I believe you used to be a strong, very strong unionist yourself.
Well, but as I always say, you know, I've said on this program before, we never know what a Saturday and Sunday meant to be in our homes. You know, every week we have some training, some session, something going on.
And any type of thing we're missing, we don't understand what sacrifice we get. Where unionism, the type of sacrifice that unionism get, where we're there right now. You know, the 40 hours work week and that type of stuff.
We're 5 minutes over our scheduled time. So we'll have to close out. Let me just quickly ask, did someone wanted to say something real pressing on their heart before we close out? Anyone? This is your moment. Brother Nelson, thank you so much for choosing to be with us, even though this is not your norm. We appreciate the wisdom that you shared with us tonight, the knowledge, and we appreciate everyone who participated. Brother Dean as our co-host, Sister Tricia as our technical person. What I'm proposing, and I've said this before about ILO C-158, I know the power of people. Brother Nelson, if you're willing, I'm willing. We could start having study sessions. We'll figure it out. But I would suggest that we have a core group of people. We don't only wait for the union. We could complement the union. We could lead where the union is not willing to lead.
Yeah, maybe that could be it. But we can talk. We can talk. But I would like to thank you for the opportunity. Although I'm a bit off schedule, but thanks again for
Thank
having
you,
me.
brother. Thank everyone who participated. Brother Dean, where are they? Say no gonna wait for go.
Right here, right here, right here.
The
Thanks,
whole
brother.
jar, the whole jar.
Thanks, brother Nelson. Always a pleasure, my brother, to engage, and to hear from our seniors. Thanks, Sister Fitz, as well for her interaction, her comments. Brother Hubert for his questions, and to all those who simply listened in. Thank you again for joining us, and please be don't be afraid and be sure to offer your comments or your suggestions as we move forward. And then again, the forum is to get us talking and for us to see where we're falling short and where we can improve and bring back unionism and understanding. The key word for tonight for me was sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Sometimes that will be team sacrifice, and sometimes, and for the most part, it will always be individualistic sacrifice for the greater good of the masses.
Respect. Please remember to subscribe,
Respect.
to share, to tell others about our Thursday nights Belizean workers' rights reasonings. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the full moon.
Good night, everyone. God bless.
Strawberry moon.
Night. Good night and goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.